OnePlus is a company that has surprised a lot of people, surpassed a lot of expectations, and brought the flagship Android experience to a mid-tier price point. But the question is, how have they done it? How has this company come out of the blue and, barely 4 years after its inception, managed to compete with some of the largest corporations in the world, the LGs, the Samsungs, and the Apples? We're talking about a company that in late 2013 had no more than 5 employees. Let's see how they did it. OnePlus really knows their customer. This is perhaps the first smartphone company that actually started out the production process before anything else by asking the customer, what is it you actually want? Whilst companies like Samsung and Apple were slightly more dictatorial in their approach, deciding themselves what was best for the end customer, which for the most part they do make the right decisions for, every decision about the OnePlus smartphones was built around customer opinion. A forum was set up before the smartphone's production, and this was used to gather the consumer data. And this turned into not only a fantastic way to engage people with the OnePlus brand, but also a giant data mine. Carl Pei and Pete Lau, the two founders of the company, quickly found that bloatware, non-intuitive UI, camera, battery and build quality were the main factors that really prevented people either switching to Android or buying a new Android phone as of now. And so by building the smartphone directly around the customer feedback, OnePlus could do something that no other smartphone manufacturer was doing. They could basically make a phone that wasn't great in all areas, that wasn't bursting to the brim with features, but one that did exactly what people wanted and no more. This allowed the company to save costs in areas which were less important to people, but at the same time include everything that they deemed desirable. Now the second thing which helped OnePlus deliver their products at the right price, which all things considered is the most important factor when buying a phone, is that they sold directly to the customer. Especially with the initial OnePlus devices, you could not find these on a store shelf. The only place to buy them was the OnePlus website. And sure, by doing this, you're going to lose a little bit of footfall, you're going to lose a little bit of organic reach from people seeing your product for the first time on a store shelf, but the OnePlus brand, or at least OnePlus believed the brand, was strong enough so that the customer would come to them. And so by eliminating the retailer or the middleman, OnePlus was able to keep the costs down and produce a cheaper smartphone. Perhaps the most important factor for the success of OnePlus was the power of the brand. When they came out of nowhere, one of the key promises to consumers was a revolution. They used terms such as smash the past, never settle, flagship killer to really hone into customers that they were really trying to do something different. And that's a brand message that not only is going to bring in new customers who are always on the lookout for the best value phone, but it's also one that people can become very involved with. It is a brand message that drives a lot of loyalty. It creates a huge fan base who are very, very engaged with the company, and that's exactly what happened. The promise of this completely new, refreshing smartphone that offered crazy value for money was enough so that people would be queuing up to get invites to purchase the phone. That's never been done before. And to give you an idea of how well it worked out, by the end of 2014, which was the year the OnePlus One was released, whilst the company predicted sales figures of perhaps 30,000, 40,000, the OnePlus One had sold 1.5 million units. It's something that people really want to talk about. The brand and the product was so powerful that this entire reach was achieved with 0 pennies spent on traditional advertising methods. A combination of the power of the internet, word of mouth, communities led these sales to simply occur by one person telling another to go buy the phone. Okay, but as pivotal as these 3 points were in the success of OnePlus so far, they weren't everything, and a little bit more has gone on behind the scenes, which is perhaps a little bit more difficult to dig up. You might have heard of Oppo. So Pete Lau, who is the founder of OnePlus, he was a vice president at Oppo at the time that OnePlus was founded. OnePlus is a separate company, but both of these firms share the same parent company. So a lot of the licenses, the patents, even the factories for production, and the phone designs themselves were actually used from Oppo. There's actually a very good reason why the OnePlus 5 looks almost identical to the Oppo R11. In order to have the first smartphone, the OnePlus One, released barely 6 months after the company's inception, something had to have been done here. And it turns out the Cyanogen mod we saw on the OnePlus One was actually ported over from the Cyanogen mod ROM that was present on the Oppo N1. Now, another thing that's really helped OnePlus is focus. At any one period of time, OnePlus has focused on one smartphone. They don't have to worry about producing ranges of phones, and perhaps degrading the lower quality phone in order to encourage people to purchase the higher quality one. The entire available resources for the entire company have been used to basically produce one product. So you can imagine it becomes a pretty efficient process. Now, don't get me wrong, OnePlus has faced difficulties. They actually had to design a brand new operating system, which ended up being Oxygen OS after they tried to enter India with CyanogenMod, and then they received complaints from Micromax, who claimed to have exclusive access to sell CyanogenMod products in India. The OnePlus 2 received a lot of negative backlash when it was originally launched. People claimed the company had lost its touch, that it really wasn't what people felt with the OnePlus 1, and for a company that new, this is such a huge blow to recover from. But a combination of perseverance, luck, as well as careful cost saving in advertising, retailing, as well as the shared resources with Oppo, have made OnePlus one of the dominant firms in a very lucrative market. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, if you could smash that subscribe button down below, that would mean so much to me. My name is Aaron, this is Mr. Who's the Boss, and I'm signing out.